Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to MK. My name is Zach, and today we're going to be taking a look at r/confessions. We might hear some weird things, perhaps some strange things that can't be explained. I scratched a child and blamed it on another child. I used to be a preschool teacher. One day in breaking up two toddlers fighting, I scratched one of them just below the eye. Nothing serious. He started crying. My co-teacher came over to see what was going on and asked the crying kid. He said he was fighting with the girl. I said she must have scratched him. She got in trouble. It was me and my pretty nails. I scratched Hugo the child. Sorry, Hugo. Hugo's dad's gonna read this and sue the piss out of you. Hugo's dad is in China, so doubtful. Reddit is blocked there. I'm reading this in China now, and I'm telling. When I worked in daycare, sometimes I would fart and blame it on the babies. Run around checking diapers and everything. When I was a kid, I stole my neighbor's bra and buried it. When I was 11 years old in 2007, I had this neighbor. She was a teacher and was a really nice person overall, giving me cookies, playing with me and my sister like hide and seek, football, ... I remember playing a game alone. I used to call it Adventure. I go behind apartments and see what I can find thrown there. I used to do this about 2 or 3 times a month. My biggest all-time finds are 50 euro and a big silver ring. One day I got started by looking behind the building where I live. I saw a purple bra thrown on the ground. Her apartment is on the lowest floor, and I saw her clothes drying from her window, so I was fully convinced it was hers. I played with this bra with my friend all day. We helicoptered it, spinning it, and running with it. I remember we had so much fun that when we finished playing with it, it was in no condition to return it, so I put it in a box and buried it when everyone went home. A week later, I saw she was putting her stuff drying on her window, so I got the stick off the mop and tried to make anything fall, but it was a failure. I didn't get anything. It was so hard my neck hurts from looking up all the time, so I waited for days after my failure for her to put more clothes. When she finally did on a day that I didn't have to go to school, I tried again and managed to get another bra. It was white. This time I played with it like the first one, but alone this time, and when I finished, I got another box and buried it next to the other. I didn't steal a single thing after that. Fast forward to now, I know the place, but forgot where I buried it exactly. Looking back, I feel like shit. She was living alone, working, plus had to deal with stolen bras. I don't know if she noticed or not. 5 years later, she got married and moved out, but like once a year, she comes back with her husband and her kids. When she sees my mom or my sis, she always asks them about me and how I was a polite kid. Just a week ago, I was coming home, she saw me, and we started talking. She is the best, always smiling, cheerful, and nice to me. From last week, all I think about is how I stole from her. I feel like well, it doesn't seem like she ever found out. No hard feelings, you know? Water under the bridge. Imagine the confusion on people's faces when they dig it up. Yeah, I feel like if you're just like randomly digging or like excavating and you're like, oh, there's a bra here. This has been here for a while, actually. I hope we don't find anything else. Were you hoping to grow a booby tree? I haven't heard of that tree, but if anyone knows where to find a forest of those, let me know. I was a mean girl in middle school and am wondering if I should apologize. I really don't know if this is the right place to post, but I'm doing it. I want to start this off by saying I am in no way trying to apologize to feel better about myself. I'm also not trying to post this in order to get sympathy. In middle school, I was a mean girl, 6th and 7th grade. I desperately wanted to be popular, and I did become popular. However, I grew a huge ego. I picked on people, lost friends, it was a fake friend, talked behind people's backs, made fun of people I thought were weird, laughed at people. I remember tons of text fights me and my friends had too, accusing people of trying to be us and have our style. I was really just jealous and deeply insecure. I mostly grew out of this in 8th grade, and I am now 15, but I do not know if I should apologize or not. I do not want the apology to only make me feel better, and I don't want the apology to the girls, who likely want nothing to do with me, to reopen any wounds. I want them to know that I was insecure and jealous of them, and I want them to know that I got a huge amount of karma. I think at this point it feels good knowing they're thriving and I am not. Not in a self-deprecating way, but knowing that bullies do get their karma and the victims live better lives puts me now at ease. 2 of the girls moved away and I cannot find their social medias, so I don't know what to do, but 2 of the others still go to my school. Should I apologize or just leave them be? I'm 40, and I still remember the people who were cruel to me in school. It would have meant the world to me to get an apology from any of them. I'm sorry to hear you're not currently thriving, but I'm proud of you for growing and becoming a better person. Grown adults are still scarred by their victimization at the hands of school bullies. So yes, you should apologize. Unfortunately, your classmates, being so young still, may not be in a very gracious place to hear it, but you are doing the right thing. They also may not trust it right away. What would mean more than an apology would be helping them a little socially, or stepping in with their current victimization. Good luck. Throw them a curveball and send them each a handwritten letter with a genuine apology. If they accept it, great. If not, you've still turned a new leaf. Showing personal effort might leave a lasting impact, one way or the other. I wouldn't go the letter route, but if you happen to see them, just say, "Hey, I'm sorry I was such a to you in the past. You didn't deserve that." That will be plenty, and it doesn't make it about you and your ego. Yeah, I mean, I remember all my bullies in school. I don't hold many hard feelings against them because we were all stupid kids. But yeah, people remember for a long time. So I definitely think it is a great idea to apologize. Maybe make an effort to become their friend, get involved with their lives in a positive way, make amends. I think it takes a lot to recognize, hey, I did some really shitty things and I regret them and I want to make up for them. So yeah, I say apologizing is the way to go. I told people that I had cancer in the 6th grade. I got bullied really bad in 6th grade because I was very vocal about my love for anime and everyone thought it was weird. This was in 2014. So when I found out I was moving schools, I told my best friend to help me out with telling people I had cancer to make people feel bad for bullying me. She was practically my only friend, so no one would know if I was lying or not, because no one really knew me like that. We started telling people, and when I moved schools, I had her tell them that I died from the cancer. Jesus. She told me this one girl started crying when she told her I died. I don't know if she ever told the truth to them. She hates me now, so I'll never know. Yes, I'm prepared for the future cancer that karma will bring on me for this. Just wanted to put it here. I feel pretty messed up when I think about it. Probably should have made a throwaway account for this. Now people are gonna think I'm really messed up in the head. Whoops. Fantasizing about being sick or injured is a lot more common than you might think, especially if you're experiencing abuse or bullying. You wanted to feel loved and you were like 12. It probably didn't feel great for that girl at the time, but it's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. I had a good childhood, but would occasionally fantasize about being in a hospital bed with a lot of people around me feeling sorry for me. I told my mom about this when I was 6, and it must have really thrown her because she got so serious and told me to never think like that again. As the youngest middle child of 4 siblings, it's clear to me now that I've always just wanted attention. No biggie, maybe something similar to you. At that age, kids just don't realize how messed up lies like that are. I hope you are living a happy life now. Yeah, kids simply lack the perspective at that age to fully comprehend how hurtful certain lies can be. The important thing is having compassion for your childhood self and using it as a learning experience. When I was a kid, I would steal my classmates' cookie every day from their lunchbox. What the hell? I've never told anyone this, and my classmate still doesn't know. When I was a kid, I saw one of my friends eating a massive white chocolate macadamia nut cookie for lunchtime. That sounds so good. I wasn't given a packed lunch. I had free school meals and a free fruit, so I would get pretty hungry during the day. Anyway, when everyone had taken their first break, I stayed behind in the bathroom. I went to her packed lunchbox and stole her cookie. It was beautiful. It was slow-baked and fresh and had the sweetest taste and tore apart like a crumble in my mouth. To this day, it is still the best cookie I ever had. Anyway, after I'd finished, I threw the rubbish away and returned her lunchbox. Coming up to lunchtime, I kept a keen eye on her, anxious to know if I would be caught and frightened that the jig was up. To my glee, she hadn't noticed that she was missing her cookie. She had probably thought that her mom didn't pack it for her. The next day, the same thing happened. I waited for everyone to leave on the first break, hid in the bathroom, devoured the cookie, discarded the rubbish, and returned the lunchbox. This time during lunch, I could see that she was confused as to why the cookie wasn't in her lunchbox. The rising adrenaline took over, my heart began to race, and my hands became clammy. I watched from a distance, convinced she would come over and confront me. She didn't. After lunch, the case of the missing cookie spread. It was the talk of the class. Someone was stealing her cookie and others were deliberating if they had been struck by the cookie culprit or if they would be next. Accusations were flying. Someone saw another classmate with a similar cookie for lunch, and another person had seen someone in the corridor earlier. I was off the hook again, but now it was serious. The next day came around and all I could think of was the cookie. I overheard her talking to her friends. She confirmed that her mom had packed it and she would be eating it at lunch. First break came around and I was ready. I snuck into the lunchbox area like before and scoffed the whole thing down, anxious that I would be caught. I scurried out to the playground and went about my day undetected. After lunch, the teacher announced that her mom had called in. Someone had been stealing from her daughter's lunchbox, and she wanted to know who. We were all warned that it was being taken seriously and of the ramifications of our actions. I knew I couldn't steal the cookie again, but I also needed a fall guy. The previous year, a boy in my class had punched me, and I never got my revenge. It was coming together like a jigsaw puzzle. He would be perfect, and it would be believable. I confessed to the teacher that I had seen him looking suspicious in the corridors, and the bait was taken. He had taken the blame and I got off scot-free. I do feel guilty about this to this day, especially for blaming it on someone else. When I look back, I can't believe that I would ever do that, but I did. To my classmates, I'm sorry I stole your cookie, and I'm sorry for blaming you for my actions. This be kinda villainous, but a V entertaining story, so thuks. I was on the edge of the toilet seat the whole time. Dude, you pulled off the perfect crime and got away with it. You are lucky they can't trace you down because the statute of limitations is long since expired. The jig would never be up with the way you hatched that plan. It was a thing of beauty. Framing the jerk was a stroke of genius. Well played. Yeah, that was a roller coaster, dude. Like, I was on the edge of my toilet seat as well. I'm actually recording this in the bathroom. Really good sound treatment. But, yeah. I think that is diabolical. I would be very sad if my mom packed me a delicious giant white macadamia nut cookie and it was gone. I'd be very upset. I would be watching my lunchbox like a hawk, dude. I wouldn't let anyone get away with it. I caused a girl to have to get glasses for the rest of her life. Oh my god, dude. I feel so guilty. It was an accident, but I still feel guilt. In grade 1 or 2, it was winter and recess. I told a girl to go down to the tallest slide on her knees. It was fun for me, and she did. But right at the bottom, she twisted or lost her balance or something and smashed her face off the end of the slide. When she got up, she had her hand over her eye, and it was bleeding above the eyebrow. Didn't seem too bad, but I was a kid, so I don't know. She went home at break, and when she came to school the next day, she ended up having to get stitches and glasses. I'm almost certain she wore glasses for the whole year. I changed schools the year after, but I feel like she needs them permanently. What guilts me more, aside the fact that she needed stitches and glasses, all because I told her to go down the slide in a dangerous way, all I actually cared about was that I was going to get in trouble for getting her hurt. I'm sorry, Purnima. Purnima? I can't even spell her name, but that's how it sounds. Probably got given an eye test at the same time she got her stitches, and just needed glasses anyway. I mean, that's a pretty optimistic way of looking at it. That's what I would hope for. You're such a good person for even feeling guilty for something that happened so long ago when you were a kid. I think you're fine. Huh, thank you. I just wanted her to have a super fun time, not smash her face and go blind. Wait, you're not supposed to feel guilty and crippling regret over every action you took as a child? I can't believe I read that right the first time. When I was 9, I stole my mother's diamond earrings, which were precious family heirlooms, to give them to my sweetheart at the time. My mother comes from an old money family and inherited precious family jewelry, although she almost never wears it. One day in primary school, I decided to give a birthday gift to my sweetheart at the time, Lucille. I went to my mother's bedroom, picked out a pair of beautiful gold and diamond earrings, and put them in a small camera film box. The next day at school, I gave them to Lucille. Since my mother almost never wears jewelry, it took her several months to notice, but when she did, she was very upset. Not only did the earrings have sentimental value, but apparently I had stolen the most expensive pair of all. She searched everywhere for months and asked my brother and me many times if we had seen them. Eventually, my grandfather was informed, and he was furious too because those earrings had been passed down for many generations. It's been over 20 years now, and I've never said anything. Sometimes the topic still comes up at family gatherings. Holy That's like something you reveal like on your deathbed because you're already gonna die. What are they gonna do? Kill you? It's like, God, I would hate if it still got brought up 2 decades later. And what do you say to that? You know, what do you do? Like, you just have to hold on to that. You just gotta bite your tongue, man. That sounds awful. My daughter received some really nice diamond earrings from a boy when she was about 10. We contacted the boy's mom and she was ecstatic. We told her and had them returned. Plot twist, you contacted the wrong mom and OP's mom is still looking for her earrings. My oldest stole my senior ring from my jewelry box and traded it on the playground for some marbles. He was in kindergarten. His teacher called me and I told her to tell him it better be in his pocket when I pick him up, and it was. Oh, thank God. He never tried that again. Dude, imagine it's just gone. It seems much more frequent than I thought. A boy stole my iPod, so I hacked his account and got him taken out of school. When I was in 7th grade, a boy I was friends with told me he had a math test but forgot his calculator and asked to borrow my iPod. I said sure, but when I went to go get it at the end of the day, he never showed up. The next week, he still never showed up. After the 2nd week, I asked the school office for his mom's phone number and called her saying that he took my iPod but didn't give it back, and the next day she dropped it off in the office. When I took it home, it had all of his accounts logged in, the wallpaper was changed, and all his contacts were in it. Oh yeah, so he just straight up stole it. He tried to finesse it. I wanted to get revenge, so I went on his Facebook and changed his profile picture and cover photo to pictures of porn, and made posts about how much he hated his mom and his religion. They were very religious. I knew this would get him into trouble. Apparently, from that moment, his mom decided to take him out of school and homeschool him because he was troubled, although there were other external reasons too, and he was also paranoid for years about being hacked online. I talked to him once years later, and he brought up unprovoked about using fake names online because of someone hacking his account in 7th grade. No one ever found out it was me, and he never even suspected me. I still feel bad, and I'm not sure why I even did it. It's one thing to borrow it and be absent from school because you're sick or family issues, but he made the mistake of logging in and basically staking a claim on the device. Have you tried searching his name online to see what he's been up to? I remember this whole thing because I saw one of his social media accounts. He seems to be fine now, lol. Holy cow, I also got my iPod stolen in 7th grade by a friend who claimed I never let her borrow it. What the heck is wrong with these 7th graders? I still remember her name. F you, Bianca B. Yo, shout out Bianca B for stealing this person's iPod in 7th grade. I mean, I wouldn't feel too bad about it. They tried to steal your iPod, basically. They were like, yep, this is mine now. I'm gonna log in. You know, like, yeah, maybe you couldn't, maybe you shouldn't have put porn on his Facebook, but it's your iPod, you know, he tried to take it. I used to pick my friends mostly based on looks. Too ugly. Next. Too pretty. Next. Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so a little bit of background, just for context is, I was raised by narcissists, and specifically a narc mother who was always commenting on other girls' bodies and looks in super critical ways. I knew deep down that everyone was equal and looks shouldn't matter, but I think subconsciously I did this because I heard my parents speak on looks so much, I just went with it without question. Unfortunately, it wasn't until my 30s that I really set aside all care of others' looks, mostly because I did the work to heal the insecure parts of me that even cared. I'm sure it's no surprise that I fell into the mean girls group at one point, and only years later did I accept that I was one for a while. Being raised by toxic people can corrupt even the best intentioned people. Parents set us up with patterns that can be exceptionally difficult to break. Kudos to you for doing the work to break free of that nonsense. It's common to absorb hurtful messages from bad parents, even when we know they're not true. Getting better takes time, and it seems like you're doing well. It's brave to admit when we've messed up before and learn from it. Both of my parents objectified women in front of me and even encouraged me to dress older than my age. They were narcs who had beautiful people over for tea. I'm still unlearning it. Mine did this too. From a young age, I understood that my body and everyone else's was being viewed through a very judgmental lens that I would never be able to adhere to. As much as I rejected this view, it still seeped in, and I have a lot of unlearning to do as well. I used to make up crazy stories to see how gullible people are. When I was a teenager, I used to be front-end manager at a grocery store until my early 20s. The job sucked, so I did what I could to amuse myself. We cycled through employees pretty quickly, so sometimes I would make up crazy stories to tell new hires that I didn't think would last too long. One night I had a younger kid on shift. He was like 15 at the time and clearly not the brightest. For some reason I had Velcro strap on my wrist that I needed for something and just put it on as a bracelet so I didn't lose it before I needed it. The kid asked me why I had the Velcro on my wrist, so I convinced him that I had some rare disease where I didn't show up in photographs because my body didn't generate enough static electricity, and I had to wear the Velcro to generate enough static to do so. In all honesty, I never thought it was believable, but he was fascinated. He asked, "So if I take a picture of you right now, you won't show up?" I said, "No, I'm good now, I have my Velcro on." But I came up with a whole backstory about how it was months before anyone noticed because in the age of disposable cameras, my parents picked up on it after getting a bunch of rolls of film developed from when I was an infant to realize I didn't appear in any of the photos, and my family members appeared as if they were holding nothing. That is insanely in-depth. Jesus Christ. I'm glad you grew out of it. I'm in my 40s and still do things like this. Plot twist. This is a made-up story. I mean, yeah, it might be, but come on, it's kind of fun, right? I have a friend that does this. She wouldn't know, but we all know she's lying and over-exaggerating things. We talk about it to each other as well. You may not realize, but people know and they're talking about you. They won't say anything to your face, but they won't trust everything coming out of your mouth. I do this to strangers, not people I actually care about. Chill. When I was 8 or 9, I charged several $1,000s for my grandparents whom I live with. To this day, they don't know it was me. When I was very young, I was extremely addicted to Roblox, and one day I decided to buy Robux with my grandparents' credit card. That's when this one kid who was probably older than me took advantage of my stupidity, and I ended up giving him probably several hundreds of dollars worth in Robux. When they found out about the charges, I just lied about it and somehow got away with it. I am now 13, almost 14, but I feel horrible for what I did, and I would be very scared to admit this. 1. I bet they knew. They are smarter than you think. 2. You are partially to blame, but those in-game purchases are predatory, and this is exactly what they hope will happen. It's not the end of the world. Apologize and offer a way to make it right. Yeah, exactly. Grandparents are the best, no doubt. Addiction is hard. As long as you realize how this was a bad thing, you are good. Happened to me when I was 7 and my mom thinks Roblox hacked her credit card. Happened to you or you made it happen? I don't know, but all I know is it wasn't me who used the card, it was my brother. When I was 13, I spit on a stranger's head from the 3rd floor of a mall. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? I was being dumb and I guess my intrusive thoughts won that day. Yeah, I guess so. I was peering over the balcony and I saw a lady sitting down. I was thinking, there's no way my spit could hit her from here. I outwent the spit and it fell right on her head. I felt so bad, but I ducked as soon as she flinched. It was you! About 10 years ago, I had a really mouthy girlfriend, now ex. One time she was driving and I was in the passenger seat. We came across a group of teenage girls who were, shall we say, a little slow to get out of the road. My ex opened her window and started shouting at them. This girl just saunters over as cool as a cucumber and spits at her point blank, and plop, it went straight into my ex's mouth. It shut her up. When I was 16, my boyfriend and I were stopped at a red light. I was in the passenger seat and had just cracked one of those movie candy-sized boxes of nerds. The person next to us was in a convertible. We were in a truck that sat significantly higher than the car. His brother was in the back seat, and to this day I have no clue what possessed him to say, "You should rain those nerds down in that car." And I didn't think twice. I reached out the window and slung that whole box of nerds into that car. I think about it still to this day and how unnecessary it was. Jesus Christ, man, you do that to the wrong person. I mean, like you are going to be like dead. You're gonna get hunted down. You're gonna get rammed off the road, man. People are insane. I stole from my work as a teacher when I didn't get a raise. When I was a teenager, I worked for a local chain of gift stores that specialized in greeting cards. We had 8 stores in the region, and not once did any of us ever work in any other location than our store. I worked there for 2.5 years. I was never late, never called in sick, picked up extra shifts whenever they asked me to, worked late for special events, and volunteered holidays. I was even put in charge of my own department, ordering and floor setting Mikasa crystal. but I was always paired with a miserable supervisor. She was an older woman who used to make us massage her back, tie her shoes, kept drinks at the cash wrap even though it was allowed, and loved to leave us with one cashier, usually me, at our busiest time. She also had this lovely habit of coming into the break room to see what we were eating for lunch and say, "You can eat that in 10 minutes, you need to be on the floor, we're busy." We were an extremely busy store, it was the 90s. Everyone complained about her, but nothing ever got done. I absolutely adored the job, but working with Beth was pure torture. At the 2-year mark when raises were being handed out, I was given a .10 per hour raise. The reason? Well, Beth said you aren't a team player. I was furious. Money was tight at home, so I worked to buy my own school lunches, clothes and car insurance, gas, school supplies, etc. My senior prom was coming up and I needed a dress. This store sold a lot of collectibles. Think of the overpriced bric-a-brac they used to sell in the 90s that all of our moms hoarded thinking they would be valuable someday. Figurines, little light-up houses, plates, etc. One day, a customer bought a new figurine that had recently come out. It was from a collection of figurines featuring doe-eyed children, to give you an idea. It was huge and very expensive for the line, around $300. She paid with cash. I went to the back to get one of the boxed ones. Noticed there were half a dozen more of the same figurine. After I rang her out, I reprinted her receipt. This was before transaction capturing. Our reprint didn't say they were reprints. I then went to the back, took one of the figurines and stashed it in the trash. Beth would never take the trash to the dumpster. I always had to do it, so I did and stashed the box behind the compactor and retrieved it after my shift. 2 days later, I went to another one of our stores in the next town over and returned it for cash. I did this every few weeks for the last 6 months I was there, only ever cash transactions, and only when we're busy, so 1, no one would notice me reprinting receipts, and 2, I was always going into the stock room. I only did it with boxed collectibles that we kept in the back. Never got caught. We had enough stores in the area that I could go to a different one each time, so no one was wondering why one store was getting so many returns from our store. I quit that to fall and leave for college. Looking back, I know it was stupid, not just immoral, but they definitely would have pressed charges had I been caught. And I really did like the job. While classmates my age were standing over deep fryers, I was dusting crystal and straightening cards, and came home smelling like scented candles rather than lard. So I felt rotten about it later, but my parents were really struggling and I was a teenager on my own to pay for even basic essentials and getting ready to leave for college. The chain folded a few years later due to impersonal problems between the owners. I don't think they ever noticed the missing merchandise. For asshole managers and owners like that, I wouldn't sweat it. Stores closed down anyway, and I doubt the scheme you had going ran them out of business. Yeah, I was desperate at the time, and I started thinking about 2 years of having to work through lunch breaks, unpaid because of that witch. You invented quiet quitting. Everybody does it now. I'm stealing time from my employer as I type this, and I feel justified in doing so. People have been stealing from their employers for a long time. I think quiet quitting is doing the bare minimum until you get fired, not stealing $300 every week. But I don't know, definitions change over time. I used to love going in those stores, looking at all the things I couldn't afford, lol. It was at the height of the Beanie Baby craze too. Shudders.